Amplifying Voices from development perspectives and field Fisher.
Welcome to the fourth episode in our Amplifying Voices podcast series. In this episode, Hicham tells us about the circumstances which has forced him to leave his home country Syria, and he also tells us about the efforts he and a group of other Syrian refugees have made to support friends and families back home. The next guest who we're very delighted to have on our podcast is Hicham. Hicham has got a very interesting story to tell. So, first off, I'd like to welcome you, Hicham, to the podcast. How are you keeping? How are you doing today?
Well, thank you so much, Paul.
Good. And yeah, if you'd just like to maybe begin where your story begins, and yeah, it's a fascinating one, and yeah, very interested to hear it from the start.
Thank you, Paul. I will start with in date of March 2012. Everything in my life was normal until 18 March 2012, when the Syrian Revolution began. People there went out to demonstrate and call to freedom, dignity, justice, and democracy. The revolution was peaceful for 8 months, but the government troops were killing and sniping the innocent people at the streets all over the country. After that, people began holding light weapons, especially Kalashnikov, to defend themselves. At that point, the regime became brutal and starting using all weapons, even chemical weapons. According to the UN members, the regime used the chemical weapons in 15 places around the country. But the worst attack was in July 2013, when 1,500 people, most of them children, were killed in Al-Ghouta beside the capital, Damascus. For me, I left Syria in April 2011, 1 month after the revolution, to Kuwait. I worked there as an editor, proofreader, and a journalist. Because of the war and destroying thousands of buildings, hospitals, schools, industrial areas, shops, people lost their properties, jobs, savings. They became poor, homeless, lost hope, and depressed. They need food, medicine, shelter, clothes, especially in the winter. At that point, I with some friends, decided to create a group to collect food, money, medicine, and clothes from our families, friends, colleagues, and other people, in order to send all of this stuff to Syria. In the beginning, we didn't know what we can do, and even we didn't get a permission from Kuwaiti government to create a charity organization. So we worked as a small group. We may lost our residency there, but we took this risk. Our team includes traders who helped us in different aspects. One of them offered us a store, which we use it to arrange, organize, fold, pack, and store the food and the clothes before sending to Syria. This stuff were sending as goods by name of a trader. In some stages, some volunteers helped us in different ways. My car, for example, 7 seats, were always full of clothes for months. We received donations like food, money, medicine, new and second-hand clothes from our families, friends, colleagues, and sometimes from businessmen and traders. Donations were between €2 to hundreds of euros. During the war, the tragedy stories and sad news every day, I became upset and even depressed for a long time. However, this work with my friends gave me some peace and happiness in the difficult times, as we could help many poor and homeless people. We got good experience in charity and humanitarian work, activities, fundraising, logistics. And as well, we got some skills like packing, classifying, and shipping. We worked as a group. This is a great achievement for us as Syrians. In Syria, we don't work as groups or organizations. We usually work as individuals, as regime controls everything: schools, media, education, economics activities, religious activities, and doesn't allow others to gather or work as groups. Everything there is under control. In that, we got some, some lessons from our activities. In this difficult time, we can do something to help and support others, even if we are far away. People like helping others, but they need someone to encourage them and remind them. War shows the worst inside us as a human being. However, it shows the best as well. Our team is still working till now. We could build some houses in Idlib, North Syria, and we could send food, medicine, clothes, and money to help thousands and thousands of poor and needy and homeless people in different cities over Syria. Working as a group gives us many advantages and credits. Our backgrounds and experience were different. That helped us to form a great team.
Thank you very much, Hicham.
Thank you.
A really remarkable story, the power that a group of small people can have to do something productive when there are those feelings of hopelessness and, as you said, sometimes depression. I was fascinated when you said that it may be because of the situation in Syria, it wouldn't be the norm to work in these groups. So was there many learnings for you about how useful it is to work in groups? And, you know, are you still able to use some of these learnings even now?
Our group still collecting money, especially money now. It's difficult to send clothes. In the beginning, we were sending money, clothes, food, medicine by a huge truck to Syria. But unfortunately, 1 year, 2 years from the war, the border between Syria and Jordan was closed. So we chose another route to send this stuff to Syria. Instead of south of Syria, we chose another one, which is north. And this journey took about 15 days from Kuwait to Saudi Arabia, then from by ship from Saudi Arabia to Turkey, then from Turkey by truck to north of Syria, Idlib, especially Idlib. It helped us a lot, and actually we didn't think or imagine we can do that. But sometimes difficult times are good for you. It helped you a lot, and to exposure and to challenge and to create something new you cannot imagine you can do it.
Yeah, sure. And I guess the power of the group, when there are obstacles and challenges, nobody has to share all of this burden themselves. Everyone can share those challenges, and sometimes that encourages the group to overcome the obstacles.
Yeah, and people as well. Our group was, what can I say, what keen on helping. And I when I was in the store folding the clothes, classifying the clothes, packing clothes and food, for example, I saw a businessman. He left his business and came with us, and he was folding and organize the stuff and the clothes and the food with us. So that happened. That rich man is like some people, helped us in different ways, amazing ways. So I am happy and pleased to share with this great group. If I am as an individual, it's really difficult. I have some activities as an individual, but just for my close friends, my family, who are need emergency help, emergency medicine, emergency money. So I can manage as an individual. But for us, we could build many houses. We helped thousands and thousands of people. We sent hundreds of thousands of euro during these years. And we as well, the most important, we have a group inside Syria who helped us to spread the food, clothes, money, and everything was recorded and provide our people who helped us to give them the photos, videos, how poor and needy and homeless people received their donations.
That's fascinating that you have that group within Syria then helping your efforts outside of it.
Without that group, these people, we cannot do anything.
And that adds to the levels of cooperation.
Yeah.
And so you've obviously, I think you've mentioned this already, but you've received some good feedback from within Syria about the efforts being put to good use. Yeah.
Always people who received money, they thank us and thank people who donate. So that give us a push and push us to do more and more and more. So
and is, I suppose, looking into the future with this group that is doing really phenomenal humanitarian work, is that the plan, to just keep going and keep doing and try to help in any way you can?
Yeah, and the most amazing, we don't have any experience in charity or humanitarian or organizational work. Just we want to help. We want to help. Our friends, our families, our people, and you cannot imagine, for example, some businessmen in Syria, because the war, became needy people. So some of them were, they had millions of dollars before the war, but they lost everything. They lost their factories. properties, lands, everything, and they couldn't pay the rent for small, dirty apartment in another place.
This is really the challenge that so many are facing in Syria at the minute. And as you say, people who are business people are now, they can't afford the rents, they can't afford all of these kind of things. So that assistance and help that you guys give them hopefully can put them in a better place in what still are very, very difficult circumstances. It's very interesting what you said, though, just that you didn't have any experience of doing something like this. And obviously you had to learn some skills before you done it. But I remember from when we discussed this before the recording, it was the message of just do something. Don't sit on the sidelines. Just do something. Is that the real lesson that you want listeners to take from?
You just do it. And during the work, because we are, as a human being, you have a lot of skills, hidden skills, and potential, but we have to put them in the action. So really, we don't have any experience. Some of are journalists, some of are us like traders, employees, but we want to do something, and some good points in our job, in our work, was delivering and sending to exact people. Some organization spend a lot of money for logistic, for as salaries for workers, and our job was pure. All of the donations, even for us, we spent a lot of money from our salaries, because our situations were good in Kuwait, even for us. And that really, that work and that war, it changed our life, our plans, our activities, our perspective. For example, I couldn't imagine when the war started, when I heard Syrian refugee, was like shocked for me. I cannot imagine Syrian refugee. It's like difficult word. But few years later, I found myself as a refugee when I had some difficulties in Kuwait. So I couldn't come back to Syria because of the war. So I found myself as a refugee.
We talked on our previous podcast about kind of labels, so refugee, asylum seeker. I mean, I think a label that I would place on you based on this story, Hicham, is humanitarian. I mean, I think that comes before any of those other labels, because you're Hicham, you're a person, and your story is very interesting, and it resonates with the work of Development Perspectives in terms of, we always encourage with the groups that we work with action, on, of course, informed action. So understanding where the problems are and learning a few skills, of course, that maybe you don't have in order to do it, and then just going and doing it. And I think it's a really powerful message, and we really appreciate you sharing it today with us. Is there any final words of wisdom you would have for our listeners before we finish?
I as mentioned as well, people really like helping, like supporting other, but sometimes if you don't remind them, if you don't encourage them, just they need someone to encourage them, to show them the whole picture. They can, and they love helping us. We love each other, but just we need to support, to remind each other.
Sure, and I think that brings in even more skills, leadership skills, motivational skills, and I think you've definitely been a very good example of that in the work that you've done. I'd like to, on behalf of Development Perspectives, thank you very much for taking the time to share your story. Really fascinating. I think there's a lot of lessons in it for our listeners, and there's certainly lessons in it for me also. And just really keep up the great work and keep doing, as you say, keep being active.
Thank you. I hope I could, what can I say, explain my story, and I hope some people get some lessons from my story.
I think, Hicham, they certainly will. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. In our next podcast, we'll hear the story of Okayla. She'll share with us her life growing up in Palestine and the subsequent challenges that she faced in regards to accessing education, security employment, and a secure family life. See you at the next time. Amplifying Voices from development perspectives and Field Fisher.